All right, so we had transactional leadership. I am Emily Lewis.
I'm Evan Walpole.
And I'm Lexi Lang.
All right, so beginning with an overview of transactional leadership. Transactional leadership is mainly focused on results, and then success is measured by an organization's set reward system where high performers get rewarded, and this is defined as a give and take process. Transactional leaders manage individuals' performances and then establish routines for those individuals to follow. The requirements for workers or other members of the group are defined by having criteria to meet being clearly defined. And if this leader is working for an organization, they are expected to deliver outcomes that are beneficial. Transactional leaders are also focused on short-term goals and are good at achieving these quickly. This connects to enforcing efficiency and enforcing rules and policies. Transactional leadership works well when employees know what their given job role is and then what is expected of them within that role. This style also works when there are employees that become motivated with a reward penalty system, which then affects their job performance. Employees that would benefit from a leadership style that is transactional are those who thrive in a structured environment. And then within this leadership style, workers' completion of tasks is successful. And then once the leader has established the given structure and requirements, environments in which this leadership style works well is where there are less creativity needed within the job roles, and then where there are set deadlines and regulations to follow. Some examples of workplaces where this would be beneficial are large corporations and then in the military.
And on the next slide here, we compiled a list of strengths and challenges associated with the transactional leadership style. To quickly run through those strengths, it works well for those motivated by incentive structures. It clearly identifies goals and standards. High quality work gets heavily praised, and services are efficiently provided by the team. Some challenges: it doesn't attend to individuals' needs as well. There is use of negative reinforcement. Success depends on leaders' ability to identify motivating factors for team members. Personal innovation is reduced. Tolerance of change in leadership roles is low, and there can also be low job satisfaction due to high stress. So kind of digging back into this again, a core strength of the transactional leadership style is its focus on the extrinsic motivation of team members. So each individual may not value the greater vision or mission of an organization to the same extent, but they may have their own personal motivation to succeed. Clear goals and expectations are a hallmark of this style, and they provide structure and guidance, and they decrease the need for personal creativity. Use of rewards and praise when goals are met also helps to reinforce behaviors and attendance to structure. And then, in contrast to that, the transactional leadership style is not meant to fit each individual's needs as well as other leadership styles could. Punishment and negative reinforcement is also utilized to maintain that structure and may have negative side effects. This includes low employee retention and low job satisfaction. The success of the organization is highly dependent on the leader's ability to correctly motivate each of their team members, which is difficult as each person is motivated by different things. Along with each person being motivated differently, personal innovation is also decreased, as this model mainly follows a standard scripted approach, which is not the most individually tailored, but rather is the most effective. The transactional leadership style does not normally have change in the leadership role, and this will oftentimes lead to low job satisfaction, as the employee could feel undervalued and like they're in a high stress environment. So I think a reason that we were able to identify more challenges than strengths for this leadership style was because we as occupational therapy students are trained to examine situations from a client-centered perspective, which this leadership style really de-emphasizes.
Okay, and then application to clinical practice and client-centered care. The transactional leadership style causes there to be a decreased ability to have a client-centered approach, like Evan just mentioned. This style would not allow for there to be a collaboration between the client and therapists, as the therapist would make all the intervention plans and goals without the input from the clients. There would not be as much creativity from the clients, which then loses a huge aspect of the holistic approach of occupational therapy. With the transactional leadership, using a lot of negative reinforcement, clients may begin to doubt their abilities. If a client is already doubting themselves after an injury, illness, or traumatic event, punishing them with negative reinforcement could be detrimental to their road to recovery. The transactional leadership approach can work well to motivate athletes to perform to the best of their abilities. So in theory, it could also have the same effect on clients if the client was highly motivated and willing to have negative reinforcements. As an example of this, if a kid successfully completes a writing task during an intervention and receives a sticker, when a kid successfully completes a writing task and receives a sticker, if the kid does not successfully complete the writing task, a sticker could be taken away, giving them motivation and encouragement to complete that task. Also, applying transactional leadership to clinical practice, it connects to productivity standards. These are standards that are set in a place for employees of a healthcare organization to meet, which are typically very high. High productivity standards can lead to practitioners having decreased time to plan, which then leads to poor, lower quality care for the client. The Cole et al. Article showed that having high productivity requirements has been found to have a negative impact on patient care, such as impacting the types of interventions chosen by the occupational therapist to use. Choosing interventions that require more hands-on assistance and off-the-clock work negatively impacted patient care, and occupational therapists feared repercussions of management if their standards were not met. Connecting this to the transactional leadership, it is similar to the reward penalty system. Productivity standards that are set very high also have shown an increase in practitioner burnout.
All right, so then for supported or inhibited by current OT theories, models, or frame of reference, so we chose the behavioral frame of reference, and it supports the transactional leadership, and it has an emphasis on behavioral modification to then shape a client's behavior. So the goal for this frame of reference is to increase adaptive behavior and then decrease the client's maladaptive behaviors. And this is done by increasing the adaptive behavior through a system of rewards and punishments. And this is similar to what we just talked about for the transactional leadership style, where there is a reward and penalty system. And applying this model to occupational therapy, the occupational therapist will first identify the client's behaviors and then determine their baseline performance. And based on that performance, use that to then select a reinforcer to therefore shape the adaptive behaviors. Shaping the client's adaptive behavior will then increase their occupational performance throughout sessions.
A current occupational therapy frame of reference that inhibits transactional leadership is the Client-Centered Strategies Framework, or CSF. This framework is focused on the relationship between the therapist, who has a leadership role, and the client, who falls more in a subordinate role. The goal of CSF is to obtain a collaborative relationship between the therapist and client, and understanding that each client has different values and beliefs that shape each person. The CSF is a multi-dimensional approach that is unique to each individual. This is contraindicated by the transactional style leadership, as the person who is in the leadership role has all of the power and uses rewards and punishments and does not show any collaboration.
And then these are our resources.
Thank you.